Welcome everyone again to the Heartbreak Heel Turn. This is your good-looking and gracious host, Heartbreak. We have a lot to talk about in a very short amount of time, so we'll get to it. Well, first of all, I want to put a little thing out there. I know people were, I got a couple of emails asking me if my name was Heartbreak, and for all intents and purposes, yes, it is. If you want to be professional,
Earth is not for the taking.
you can call me Dr. Heartbreak. But Heartbreak would suffice. So calling me that, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But Dr. Heartbreak, if you want to be professional, that's my full name. So Dr. Heartbreak wants to prescribe his WWE medicine for you all. Money in the Bank 2016. Just ended. It didn't just end, but I had to watch it over a little bit because there were some matches that didn't get my attention, and I felt like I wouldn't give them a fair review if I didn't watch them over again. And the NBA Finals were on as well. Congrats to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though I have my reservations on the NBA right now. LeBron. They still had to work hard to do what they did, regardless of what I think. So, congratulations to them. But let's get back into the wrestling. First match. Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that we have a new world champion, new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and it's someone that going into the night I don't think anyone was expecting at all. And it's Dean Ambrose. Yes, I did not stutter or say that wrong. It is Dean Ambrose. It was Seth Rollins, and I think this night's going to be legendary for the fact that it'll probably be the only night in the history of WWE where all three Shield members were world champions in the same night. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. It's going to be pretty cool to see what goes on with these storylines after. But as of right now, we know Dean Ambrose is the world champion. I was watching a couple of the videos that WWE put up on YouTube, and it seems like he's very content with his win. Even though he cashed in the Money in the Bank right at the end of the show, like everyone else, like I think Kane did that in 2010. He was the only other one to do that right on the same show. So quite impressive. But if we want to start with the beginning of the card, we can talk about the kickoff show. And I'm going to breeze by the kickoff show because I feel like I was bamboozled because I had expected to see Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler in the kickoff show, as well as Apollo Crews and Sheamus. But they decided to change it last minute and give us the Golden Truth versus Breezango and the Lucha Dragons against the Dudley Boys. These two matches, if you had watched the Raw pre-show and things like that, you would have seen the Golden Truth, what they did to Breezango, and the reason why they are sunburnt. If you didn't understand that whole thing, they probably showed a promo showing why that happened in the first place, because they always do that. They always show us things that we've already seen before. But in this case, I actually didn't see it, so it at least made me understand why they were all peeling and stuff like that. But again, nonetheless, no one really cared about the match. But it's a fun storyline. It's not really a storyline for you to care about. It's more for you to enjoy the entertainment factor of it. Excuse me. But the Golden Truth did end up getting the win. Goldust hit his final cut, and which is actually a pretty cool finisher. I would love to see him teach that finisher to a young up-and-comer and see what they do with that, because that'd be pretty cool to see. The next match is the Lucha Dragons against the Dudley Boys. Again, this match was just, a throw-in. It wasn't really much of a big deal. The Lucha Dragons got the victory because Devon accidentally clotheslined Bubba Ray, and that was enough for the Lucha Dragons to get their finishers in. Enough of a distraction for them to get their finishers in to end the match. So that's how that went. The kickoff show wasn't very memorable. There was a quick promo between Sami Zayn and Cesaro about the Money in the Bank ladder match. But, if you miss the whole kickoff show, you're not missing much, which is how it should be. So I'm happy about that. But at the same time, they advertised certain matches and they decided to put them on the main show. And it's interesting to me because I feel like, I guess the main show didn't have enough angst or maybe it wasn't filling up enough time when they got the final times in. They realized they were way behind time, so they had to put those matches into the main card. And I had a problem. I have a problem with the fact that they advertised them to be on the kickoff show, but at the same time, they used a lot of time on Raw and on SmackDown to further these two matches, talking about Apollo Crews and Sheamus, and Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. They used a lot of time to advertise those matches, so I understand why they put that on the main show, because those guys do deserve to be on it. They worked hard these last 4 weeks to get their storyline over with the crowd, or as best as they could. Not to say that they succeeded, but so we go into the first match of the actual show, the actual Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The tag team champions, the New Day, against in a fatal four-way tag team match, in a four corners tag team match, which I'm a very big fan of, against the Club, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Vaudevillains, and Enzo Amore and Big Cass. This match was, I think we've been spoiled with four-way tag team matches before. When I can look back and think about the one at WrestleMania a couple years ago between the New Day, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, the Usos, and the Los Matadores. Those matches had great spots. Everyone was crisp and clean, and everything was on. And this match was just, the first couple matches, honestly, in this pay-per-view were very underwhelming to me. I think also with the fact that I guessed just about every match wrong on my prediction show. I guessed just about all of them wrong. And but I don't really get salty about those kind of things when I guess wrong. They're predictions. They're not like, I'm not betting on anything. But it was just weird to see the New Day retain the titles, because I figured they would be the guys to come in during SummerSlam and to try to take what they did and build towards a big babyface win at SummerSlam. Trying to be the overcoming baby faces, but I guess that's not the route they want to go for SummerSlam as far as the tag team champions are concerned. Maybe they're setting up for a big heel victory at SummerSlam. You never know. That usually happens, but I figure SummerSlam's always the pay-per-view where they try to get as many baby faces over as possible, because in the middle of the year you want to get as many people watching as they can. The biggest show of the summer, as they say. So, but they won. It's okay. I had picked Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. I thought it would help build the club up a little bit if they at least had it for a month, but obviously that's not the direction they were going into. And another thing about this match, it was very spotty. Like there were little botches here and there. It was a very good match, but the little botches here and there just kind of took me out of the moment of the match, and I didn't get to enjoy it as much, towards the finish because of that. So, but other than the couple botches, it was a very fine match for a four corners tag team match. I think the inexperience, the youth that you have in this match kind of showed why, sometimes, having experience and having the veterans, even though we get sick and tired of seeing them, they do things well, unlike, some young rookies who might not know exactly what they're doing in a match like a four corners match. So at one point there was a spot where Big E had picked up if I believe Carl Anderson for a finisher, and Doc Gallows just stands there and looks like he wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place, but he's there, and he it's just like an awkward like exchange of glares, and from what they did there, they just then Big Cass kind of came and ran in and tried to save the day, because what they weren't supposed to do, the things that they were doing. So it's unfortunate that the match ended with a couple botches, but what can you do? It happens sometimes. So we transition from that. We go to the singles match between Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. Baron Corbin gets his victory relatively cleanly, finally, over Dolph Ziggler, and hopefully he can continue to be a badass and further along his journey in the WWE, and not just be known as the Andre the Battle Memorial winner, Battle Royal Memorial winner, or whatever it's called. He needs to move on and be known for something else, because if you're known for something that you've done 4 months ago, you're not going to last very long in the company, because they have a very short-term memory as far as those things are concerned. So happy for Baron Corbin. It was a good match. It had its couple botches as well, but one spot where Ziggler was supposed to jump off the steps into a deep six, he trips on the steps, but Baron Corbin is is a beast. He's so strong. He's strong enough to catch him after he slips, and then even though the momentum was wrong, he swung the momentum the way he was supposed to into the deep six, and it might have took a couple seconds longer than it was supposed to, but the sheer willpower and strength of Baron Corbin is undeniable. So hopefully they have something set up for him later. This was probably the most underwhelming match on the card, but the card wasn't all that great, so it's not like we were expecting it to be great. As far as the whole, well, I guess I'll talk about that at the end. So we'll continue with the matches. The Divas match: Charlotte and Dana Brooke against Natalya and Becky Lynch. I had picked Natalya and Becky Lynch here because I figured they would need some babyface wins after Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson beat the New Day, but obviously that didn't happen. So obviously, subsequently, Charlotte and Dana Brooke won. I thought it was a toss-up. It depended, to me, that match depended on who won the tag team match. If it was a face, then the heels would win in the Divas match, and that's what happened. So, Dana Brooke put on a decent showing. It wasn't anything spectacular. The match itself wasn't anything spectacular. What the main part of what happened in the match was really what happened after, was after their defeat. It looked like Natalya actually lost a tooth. I could be wrong about that, but she got hit pretty hard in the mouth because Becky Lynch was going for another clothesline. These dangerous clotheslines. You got to watch out, teammates. And missed Charlotte and hit Natalya in the face, and it looked like she was really hurt. And then after that, that distraction was enough for Charlotte and Dana Brooke to get their victory. But after the match was over, Becky Lynch was trying to console Natalya about what was going on, and Natalya just completely lost her mind and just attacked Becky Lynch. Yeah, so Natalya has her first quote unquote heel turn in a very long time, to see her turn heel, and it was cool to see that she she's gonna add another element to her character, because I think she was getting a little stale being the niece of Bret Hart and blah blah blah. We all know that, blah, 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 blah. We all know that already. So it's cool to see. But what was so interesting was, after, I don't know if this was supposed to happen, but after she beat up Becky Lynch, she was walking away up the ramp and she started crying. So I don't know if that's her emotions getting to her or what it is, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with that angle on Raw, and to see if they mention the crying part at all. But this is why I think she lost a tooth, because I felt like she was actually in pain, so that's why she started crying as she was walking up the ramp. I don't know if she's that good of an actress to just start crying on site after an altercation like that. So Apollo Crews against Sheamus. I had picked Sheamus in this match. I figured multi-time world champion, he would come out with the victory on the Young Buck, but I was wrong. Apollo Crews gets the victory in a roll up, basically, and it was great to see. It was actually a feel good moment for me, honestly. I always hear people saying about Apollo Crews, he should stop smiling, he should have a mean streak, but I think his smiling and his happy go lucky demeanor can work to his benefit if he can integrate it into his character the proper way. He didn't have much of a character in NXT. He was just kind of the big guy that could do a lot of flips, and but hopefully, he can really sink his teeth into this character that he's trying to develop, and make him, because he could be a very good babyface. I can see him, being very popular with the kids, because I think he's a genuinely nice guy, and that's just coming from a guy who's a smart fan. So hopefully he can do well with what he's trying to work with as far as his personality is concerned. I think it's great that he got the victory. I don't know. I don't think that the feud is over per se, but it's good to see Apollo Crews at least get the first win. Um, the next match was very interesting. The match between the two icons, the match that people thought they would never see, AJ Styles against John Cena. AJ Styles, uh, he goes over on John Cena, and it was kind of like, to me, it was kind of like Vince McMahon giving a big FU to all the fans because we got what we wanted. We got AJ Styles beating John Cena. It's just that we didn't get it in the way that we wanted. So unfortunately, it doesn't feel as sweet that he did get the victory because the club ended up coming out anyway. After the John Cena gave an AA to or an FU to AJ Styles. They knocked out the ref by accident while doing that whole spot, and once that happened, the club came out and gave their magic killer finisher to John Cena and put him out for the rest of the time. And it's interesting because they put him out and the ref still had to crawl back in the ring, which was a good 10 seconds, but yet they still gave him the 3 count, which is something you never see from Big Match John. But it happened, and AJ Styles got the pin. And watching a video on the WWE website on YouTube, AJ Styles after the match, he was very content with the win. He was actually very happy. They were going to go out and get drinks after the match, after the post match interview. That's what they were saying. So obviously, AJ Styles isn't mad about what happened at all. Matter of fact, he's really happy that he got this victory, regardless of how it turned down. So we know that this feud isn't over because they're not ever gonna have Cena lose a feud like that and then just forget about it. We know this is gonna go a long time. It's probably gonna go through Battleground into SummerSlam, and we're probably not gonna see AJ Styles win another match between those two, unfortunately. So enjoy the win. And I'm saying this to all the fans: enjoy this victory that AJ Styles got, whether you like the way he got it or not. Even though it felt like shit that he got the win the way he did, and that was the point. That was the point. Vince could never put over a guy from TNA that was the face of TNA over the guy that was the face of his own company cleanly in a match. That was never going to happen. So enjoy the win while we have it, because we're not going to really see AJ Styles beating John Cena anytime soon in a singles match, maybe ever again. So enjoy it. So next up after that match was the Money in the Bank ladder match, which was the match, which, well, it set up the match of the night basically. The Money in the Bank, obviously the 6 men. I thought there was going to be a 7th man that came in. I was wrong about that as well. I was also wrong about AJ Styles and Cena. I thought Cena was going to get the victory there. I was just wrong about everything tonight, but it's fine. I thought Kevin Owens would win this match as well. There's another thing I'm wrong about. Dean Ambrose ends up getting the Money in the Bank ladder match, and gets the briefcase. It was cool to see the spots that they tried to come up with. Again, I feel like we were spoiled with these ladder matches because at WrestleMania, the one at WrestleMania was just absolutely amazing. And when we get we've been getting, and it wasn't just the one at WrestleMania. The last couple multi-man ladder matches have been very good. And when we get one that's not stellar, like the one at WrestleMania, some people are probably going to be quick to say that this wasn't the best Money in the Bank ladder match, but it was very good. And it might not be on the level of the WrestleMania 32 ladder match, which was probably the best match on the WrestleMania card. But you got to give credit where credit is due. They tried a lot of different spots. These guys work so hard. This dude, Kevin Owens, took a Michinoku driver spine first onto a ladder that was facing sideways. So it wasn't like the steps of the ladder. It was it wasn't the rungs. It was the bars of the ladder. I don't know what you call it, but the sides of the ladder. He got his spine directly Michinoku driver down on there. And I just thought automatically in my head, I think, oh my God, Shawn Michaels, 1998. Oh my God, casket match, end of his career. That's what I was thinking the whole time. luckily he did get up and he gave it was Sami Zayn that gave him the Michinoku driver. So as you know, later in the match, Sami Zayn got his just desserts, and Kevin Owens proceeded to powerbomb him on another ladder. So, and that basically ended his match right there. But it was interesting to see all the different people near the end. That everyone had a legitimate shot, except for maybe Alberto Del Rio. But everyone had a chance to at least touch the briefcase. But eventually, Dean Ambrose came out with the win, and you could see on Dean's face. I didn't know if at the time when he won the ladder match, if he knew that he was going to cash in that night. But it looked like he was very emotional, which is something we almost never see. Either emotional or very, very tired, because that's something we almost never see with Dean. The way he was acting, he was so calm after he won the match. Eventually he started hyping himself up, but initially he was very calm, and he was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just, I got this briefcase." And it's the first time I think we've seen a face win the Money in the Bank briefcase in a long time. So I figured, wow, they wouldn't go that route because it's more interesting to see a heel with that. But having a face doing that, it's kind of cool because, I figured, all right, he's gonna come out whenever with the thing, and they can have so many different pops throughout, these next couple months with him just coming out with the briefcase and people thinking he's gonna cash it in when he really doesn't. But again, after that, I was wrong. So um, we'll go into the next match, which was something that I've heard this term be used before, but it's the toilet bowl match, the match where you go and use the bathroom because it's in between two very good matches. And this was the United States Championship match between Rusev and Titus O'Neil. I forgot this match was even going to happen. I figured that the main event was going to be right after the Money in the Bank ladder match, but obviously this match still had to happen. Titus O'Neil comes out, and it's Father's Day, and he gives his sons a kiss, and Wale's actually next to his son, so that shout out to Wale. That was a pretty cool cameo appearance from him. And he was cheering Titus and booing Rusev, so at least he was doing the right thing on camera. And Rusev comes out, United States champion. And honestly, I actually did go to the bath. Actually, no. Well, I went to the bathroom and then I was watching the rest of the NBA Finals during this match because it was the end, and I just wanted to see how Cleveland was going to win because I knew Cleveland was going to win the finals regardless. But that's another story for another time. But so when I had to watch it over again, Rusev and Titus O'Neil. It was actually a very good match. It started out very good. I thought the start was awesome. The fact that Rusev was just running away from him and Titus was getting in his hits and he was being very aggressive with him and, picking him up and throwing him places and picking things up and putting them down. Like that's what Titus O'Neil's great at doing, throwing guys, not even suplex or anything, just throwing them. So I thought that was cool. Rusev got his offense in. It was honestly, I think it was a very good match. I think that it's worth, if you did skip it, it's worth going back and watching because it was probably the best. No, I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. But it was a very good match. So, if you did care about their storyline, and you did want to see the culmination of that, you should watch it. Rusev actually ends up getting the victory. With shenanigans, but of course, always with the heel champions. And Rusev comes out and grabs the mic and goes to his kids and goes, "You see your father? Your dad's a loser." And then goes, "Rusev is champion." So I thought that was awesome to me, just taking and then he says, "Happy Father's Day." So being very snark. It's awesome. It's awesome to see in a champion, when you're a heel champion, that's what you need to be. You need to be entertaining because people already hate you. So if you're not entertaining, then you're just nothing. You're a guy that no one likes and no one wants to see on TV. So it's good to see that Rusev is embracing that part of his character. Finally, the main event, Seth Rollins and the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns in a match for the championship. I had to watch this over again. After seeing the Cavaliers win, my brain was kind of fried for a little bit. So when I first watched it, I wasn't very into it. But then seeing the things that happened later on in the match, got me to want to watch it over again. So I watched it over again, and this was easily the best match of the night. Great spots, at least 4 stars. I would say 4 stars, maybe 4.25. four and a quarter. But it was a great match to me. They put on a show. I expected them to because I figured they're very familiar with each other in the ring. Um, I didn't see Seth Rollins winning at all. I had picked Roman Reigns to win, again, something else I was wrong about. Actually, to give myself a little bit of credit, I'm not completely worthless. I did pick Rusev, but that was probably just a given. So I'm not gonna be too happy about that. But I did pick him. But I did pick Roman to win this match. But Seth ends up getting the victory, and Seth pulled out just about every move he had except maybe the Phoenix Splash that we all clamor for. I think they're gonna save that for whether it's their rematch or the triple threat match they may have at SummerSlam. And that's going to happen because Seth Rollins gets the win, and he gets it with a little bit of shenanigans. Not on purpose, but something was going on, and they bump into the ref, and the ref gets knocked out again. These referees, got to look out. Two referees got taken out tonight, and this one was Mike Chioda. He's a veteran, so if you take him out, you know that you really did a number on him. They took him out, and when they took him out, Roman just so happened to give Seth a spear, and trying to pin him. The ref is down, typical. But then when he gets back up, Roman goes for another spear, and Seth reverses it into a pedigree, which was a little bit iffy, but it was still awesome to see that they attempted to do something like that. And then from there, Seth gets up, gives him another pedigree, and ends the match right there. And it was great to see something like that. I didn't expect Seth to win at all. I thought Roman was going to kick out because I figured what I was thinking in my head once he gave him that second pedigree was, well, he did kick out of 3 F5s at WrestleMania. So, he's definitely going to kick out of 2 pedigrees. Just goes to show how much Triple H really thinks about his own finisher and how important of a move that is to him. He's not just going to let it, get crapped on by getting kicked out a bunch of times like John Cena's Attitude Adjustment. So, it was great to see Seth win the championship for all the, 60 seconds that he did have it, because lo and behold, as he won the championship, Dean Ambrose music hits and everyone goes nuts. And, I was a little bit reluctant to say, I was like, man, this could be very entertaining having Dean Ambrose with this Money in the Bank, constantly clamoring on Seth Rollins. But, for that to happen, I guess Seth would have to be the heel because Dean is not going to be the heel. So it would be a little bit weird to have a face bothering another face constantly with his Money in the Bank contract. So this was the only direction they had to go with having Dean win. In my head when I saw Dean win, I figured, it would make a lot of sense for him to cash it in that night. But I thought that they wouldn't, based on entertainment purposes. They would let Dean, do his thing because it would be very entertaining to see him with that Money in the Bank contract. But they decided to do it on the night and pull the trigger. And they did, and Seth, he was beat from the match before, so it only took one dirty deed for – that sounded so dirty. It took one dirty deed for Dean Ambrose to finish Seth Rollins off, and he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. And, I'm smiling as I'm saying that because, I can just remember, back in the day when Dean Ambrose had lost to Seth Rollins technically, but left with the championship, and he looked so good with the championship at the time. And I figured, man, this guy's probably never going to have a world title run. And now, he does, and I'm really happy for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with it and what direction they go on with there, because I didn't see this coming, so I have no idea what's going to happen. I figure they're going into this just triple threat, Shield match at SummerSlam, which would make SummerSlam must-see TV. I figured they would save it for WrestleMania, but I guess, they have other plans for that. So, that's the direction. If I had to figure where they were going to go with that, I figured they're going to do the triple threat Shield match for the world title. So, it's going to be cool to see what happens with Roman and Seth, and to see if Roman still has that sparkle without the championship now that he's not champion anymore, to see, how Seth reacts to what happened, because he just kind of got Seth Rollins to himself. It wasn't at WrestleMania, but, he did win the championship, and it was a big deal for him. So it's gonna be fun to see the dynamic that happens between these 3 guys. One more thing I want to mention before, I go off the air. It was First of all, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I know it's late. I figured I'd do this video before people wake up in the morning, so that when they do, they can see it and have my opinion ready and waiting for them while they're eating breakfast. So, there's my little gift to you guys. Um, but one thing that I do want to mention, I figured this isn't a big deal, but just seeing the club coming out and after AJ Styles won, and watching the video after and having them say, "Oh, that was too sweet, AJ. Let's go out and have the little click fingers." WWE really doesn't care about anything WCW has ever done, because to take the NWO's too sweet line, and I know gimmick infringement is a big deal over there. I know that AJ Styles was a little bit guilty of that tonight, because he was saying, "This is my house in the ring," and we all know that's for Paige. But then again, I don't know how much I don't know how much. Sorry guys, it's a live show, and something weird just happened. So, but I don't know how much clout. I don't know how much pull a diva has in the locker room. So I don't think it's gonna be a big deal that he was saying, "This is my house." But for them to be saying "too sweet" and just doing everything that the NWO was doing, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, I figured, I'm like, wow, they'll just take anything from WCW and act like it never happened and just use it for their own. If that was their own creation, they would never do something like that. And because it was made in WCW, they figured the gimmick is brand new and that anybody can do it, regardless of the history behind it. So it's cool to see them doing that, but just to think, like, this was actually one of the biggest factions, if not the biggest faction of in wrestling history, and they're just taking their gimmick and using it for whatever. I don't think it's right, but it's entertainment, so what can you do? Sports entertainment, guys. Thank you for listening again. This is the Heartbreak Heel Turn. Dr. Heartbreak has some prescriptions to write, so he'll see you very soon, probably, for a Raw review. I appreciate the listeners again. If you want to email me at heartbreak@post.com. That's heartbreak@post.com. I appreciate you guys listening. And this is the Heartbreak Heel Turn again, and we'll see you soon.